Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I'm just not enough? Maybe you didn't say it out loud, but you felt it. You achieved something at work, but instead of pride, you thought, it's not a big deal. Anyone could have done it. A friend gave you a compliment, and you brushed it off, secretly uncomfortable, thinking, if they really knew me, they wouldn't say that. You entered a relationship, and a part of you constantly wondered, why would they even want to be with me? This is what low self-worth feels like. It's quiet. It's subtle. And it's everywhere. Here's the thing, self-worth is not the same as confidence. You can be confident in your abilities, a good speaker, a talented artist, a skilled worker, and still feel, deep down, that you are not truly worthy. You can have high self-esteem in certain areas, but if your core sense of worth is fragile, everything else collapses when life shakes you. Self-worth is deeper. It's the foundation. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are. And here's the radical truth, your self-worth is not earned. It's recognized. It's not something you have to prove. It's something you have to remember. But most of us forget. We live in a world that ties worth to performance, to appearance, to status, to likes on a screen. No wonder so many of us feel like we'll never be enough. In this video, we'll explore what self-worth really is, and what it isn't. Where low self-worth comes from. The hidden costs of living with low self-worth. And most importantly, how to begin rebuilding it from the inside out. Because here's the truth, you are already worthy. You don't need to earn it. You just need to stop forgetting it. Part 1, what is self-worth? Before we can rebuild self-worth, we have to understand what it actually means. 1. Self-worth versus self-esteem versus confidence. People often confuse these terms, so let's separate them. Confidence is about skills. It's believing, I can do this. You can be confident in your cooking, your driving, your ability to give a presentation. Self-esteem is about how you evaluate yourself. It's the opinion you hold, I'm a good person. I'm attractive. I'm capable. It fluctuates based on feedback, achievements, or failures. Self-worth is deeper. It's your fundamental belief about your value as a human being. It's not about doing. It's about being. Self-worth says, even if I fail, even if I'm imperfect, even if others don't approve, I still have value. Simply because I exist. Confidence can be shaken. Self-esteem can go up and down. But self-worth is the ground beneath them. 2. Signs of low self-worth. Sometimes low self-worth is obvious, like constant self-criticism or feeling unworthy of love. Other times it hides under the surface, disguised as responsibility or humility. Here are some common signs. People-pleasing. You say yes when you want to say no. You adjust yourself to keep others happy, afraid that saying no will make you unlovable. Perfectionism. You set impossible standards for yourself, because deep down you believe you'll only be worthy if you're flawless. Settling for less. You stay in jobs, friendships, or relationships that drain you, because you don't believe you deserve better. Overthinking and self-doubt. You analyze every decision endlessly, afraid of making mistakes that would prove you're not enough. Difficulty receiving compliments, help, or kindness. Make you uncomfortable, because part of you doesn't feel worthy of them. Does any of that sound familiar? 3. Metaphors to understand self-worth. Sometimes images make it clearer. A mirror covered in dust. Your worth is like a mirror. It reflects your value. But when dust, criticism, comparison, shame, covers it, you can't see your reflection clearly. The mirror is still whole. Your worth is still there. It just needs to be cleaned. A bank account you can't lose. Imagine you were born with an account of infinite value. Nothing you do can subtract from it. But society convinces you that you must deposit achievements, appearances, and approval to have worth. You chase deposits, but the account was already full. 4. Short stories of misplaced worth. Story 1. The student Emma was praised for her grades as a child. Every A brought applause. Every B brought silence. She learned, I'm only worthy if I succeed. As an adult, she became a workaholic. Every achievement gave her a temporary high, but inside, she felt empty. Story 2, the athlete Daniel's identity was tied to sports. When he got injured and couldn't compete, he spiraled into depression. Why? Because without performance, he didn't know who he was. Story 3, the relationship Lena grew up believing love had to be earned. She became someone who constantly gave, her time, her energy, her boundaries, just to feel accepted. But no matter how much she gave, she never felt enough. Each of these stories shows the same truth. When your worth is tied to external things, it's fragile. The moment those things disappear, your sense of self collapses. 5. What self-worth really means. True self-worth is unconditional. It's not based on what you do, what you achieve, or how others see you. It's based on one simple truth: you are human, therefore you are worthy. That doesn't mean you don't grow, improve, or strive. But it means your value doesn't depend on the outcome. When you know your worth, you can fail without feeling like a failure. You can be rejected without believing you are unlovable. You can rest without guilt, because your value isn't tied to productivity. Self-worth gives you stability. It's the anchor when everything else is uncertain. 6. Reflection. Pause. Take a moment and ask yourself, do I believe my worth depends on what I achieve, how I look, or how others see me? When those things are taken away, do I still feel valuable? What would it mean to live from a place of unconditional worth? These are not easy questions. But asking them is the first step to seeing where your foundation really lies. Where low self-worth comes from. If self-worth is something we're born with, why do so many of us lose touch with it? Why do we grow up believing we're not enough? The truth is, low self-worth is learned. No baby is born doubting their value. A baby doesn't think, I need to cry in a perfect pitch so my parents love me. They just cry, and expect care. So where does that natural worthiness get lost? Let's explore the roots. 1. Childhood conditioning. For many, low self-worth begins in childhood. If love felt conditional, I'm loved when I'm good, when I achieve, when I behave, you learn that worth must be earned. If you were compared to siblings or classmates, why can't you be more like them? You internalize, I'm not good enough as I am. If you were often criticized, for mistakes, emotions, or simply being yourself, your inner voice becomes an echo of that criticism. Even if parents meant well, these patterns can wire you to believe, my value depends on performance, approval, or perfection. 2. The culture of achievement. Even if your childhood was supportive, society adds pressure. We live in cultures that glorify achievement and productivity. You're praised for grades, not for curiosity. You're rewarded for results, not for effort. You're valued for your job title, not your humanity. The unspoken message, your worth is what you produce. This creates what psychologists call conditional self-worth, the belief that you're only valuable when you succeed. The problem is obvious: success is temporary, and life is full of failure and uncertainty. 3. Social media and constant comparison. Never before have humans had this much access to other people's lives. And what do we see online? The best moments. The curated highlights. You scroll and see someone's perfect vacation, someone's new promotion, someone's flawless relationship. And you compare your messy behind the scenes to their polished front stage. The result, your worth feels smaller. You think, everyone else is thriving. I must be behind. I must be less. It's not true, but the comparison trap makes it feel real. 4. Trauma, rejection, or bullying. Certain experiences cut deep into self-worth. A painful breakup can make you question your lovability. Being bullied can plant seeds of shame. Something must be wrong with me. Failing publicly can leave scars. I can't risk trying again. These experiences create wounds. And unless we heal them, they keep whispering the same false story. you're not enough. 5. Internalized voices. Often, low self-worth is the result of voices we internalized. Maybe you had a teacher who said, "You'll never make it." Or a parent who snapped, "You're so lazy." Or peers who mocked, "You're weird." Even years later, those voices can live inside your mind. You might hear them as your own thoughts, forgetting they were never yours to begin with. This is why self-worth work often involves identifying, whose voice is this? Is it really mine? Or did I inherit it? 6. Real-life examples. Example 1. The overachiever Sophia grew up in a family where love was tied to performance. Every achievement got her attention. Every failure got her silence. As an adult, she became a perfectionist. On the outside, she looked successful. On the inside, she constantly feared being found out as not enough. Example 2. The invisible child. James was the quiet one in his family. He didn't cause trouble, so he was often overlooked. As an adult, he struggles to speak up. Deep down, he believes, "My voice doesn't matter." Example 3. The social media spiral. Maya spends hours scrolling Instagram. She knows it's curated, but she can't help comparing. Every photo of a friend's success chips away at her worth. She feels like her life is always less than. Each story shows the same pattern. Worth is chipped away by conditioning, culture, comparison, or painful experiences. 7. The common thread. Though the sources differ, the message is the same: you are not enough as you are. You must earn worth through achievement, approval, or perfection. But here's the truth: these messages are lies. Learned lies. And if self-worth can be learned, it can also be unlearned. 8. Reflection. Pause. Take a moment and reflect. Where do you think your feelings of low self-worth began? Was it childhood, culture, comparison, trauma? Whose voice still echoes in your mind today? Naming the source doesn't fix it instantly, but it gives you power. Because once you see the story, you can stop living inside it. How to rebuild self-worth. If low self-worth is learned, that means it can be unlearned. And if your worth was never truly gone, that means rebuilding it isn't about creating something new, it's about uncovering what was always there. Let's explore how. 1. Awareness. Noticing the inner critic. The first step is awareness. You cannot change what you don't notice. Pay attention to your inner voice. When you make a mistake, do you immediately call yourself stupid or lazy? When someone compliments you, do you reject it or downplay it? When you rest, do you feel guilty, as if you must earn the right to relax? These are signals of low self-worth. The goal is not to judge yourself for them, but to notice them with curiosity. Awareness turns the unconscious into the conscious. And what is conscious can be changed. 2. Separate worth from achievement. We've been conditioned to tie worth to performance. So the next step is untangling them. Try this exercise. Write a list of achievements you're proud of. Then cross them all out. Write a list of failures or shortcomings. Then cross them all out too. Look at the empty page. Ask yourself, without achievements or failures, am I still worthy? The answer must be yes. Because worth is not conditional. This practice reminds you, achievements add joy, failures teach lessons, but neither defines your value. 3. Daily self-compassion check-ins. One of the most powerful tools for rebuilding worth is self-compassion. At least once a day, pause and ask, how am I feeling right now? What do I need right now? If a friend felt this way, how would I treat them? Then offer yourself that same kindness. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It's maintenance. It's how you remind yourself, I deserve care, simply because I exist. 4. Challenging distorted beliefs. Low self-worth thrives on distorted beliefs. I'm unlovable. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. The way to dismantle them is not by ignoring them, but by challenging them. Ask yourself, is this thought 100% true? What evidence supports it? What evidence contradicts it? Would I say this to someone I love? Often, you'll see that the thought is not truth, it's an old script. and scripts can be rewritten. 5. Setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries are an act of self-worth. When you say, "This is okay," "This is not okay," you affirm, "I have value. My needs matter." Start small. Say no when you're too tired to say yes. Limit time with people who drain you. Protect time for rest, hobbies, or relationships that energize you. Each boundary you set reinforces your worth. 6. Practicing receiving. If low self-worth makes it hard to receive compliments, help, kindness, then practice receiving on purpose. When someone gives you a compliment, pause. Instead of rejecting it, say, "Thank you." When someone offers help, let them. When kindness comes your way, allow it to land. Every time you receive without resistance, you rewire the belief, "I am worthy of care and love." 7. Remembering humanity. Low self-worth often comes from harsh self-judgment. You hold yourself to impossible standards. A powerful antidote is remembering your humanity. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone struggles. Everyone feels insecure sometimes. You are not broken, you are human. Try this mantra: being imperfect doesn't make me less worthy. It makes me human. 8. Stories of rebuilding. Story 1. The burnt-out lawyer Amir tied his worth to his career. When he lost his job, he felt worthless. Through therapy, he learned to separate worth from work. He began volunteering at a local shelter, reminding himself that presence and kindness matter too. Slowly, he rebuilt his foundation. Story 2. The mother rediscovering herself. Claudia spent decades pouring into her children. When they left home, she felt empty. Who was she without them? Through journaling and self-compassion, she realized her worth wasn't only in giving, it was in being. She started painting again. Each brushstroke was an act of reclaiming her value. Story 3. The student overcoming comparison. Leo constantly compared himself to classmates. He felt behind. One day, a mentor told him, "Your timeline is yours. You're not late to your own life." That sentence shifted something in him. He stopped measuring worth by others' clocks and began walking his own path. 9. Practical exercises. Here are exercises you can try. I am enough because. List, write 10 reasons you are enough that have nothing to do with achievements. Examples: because I'm alive. Because I care. Because I try. Self-compassion letter. Write a letter to yourself as if you were a loving friend. What would they say about your worth? Boundaries practice. Choose one small boundary to set this week. Notice how honoring it makes you feel. Receiving exercise. When someone compliments you, pause, breathe, and say, "Thank you." Let it land. Mirror practice. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I am worthy, simply because I am." It may feel strange at first, but repetition rewires belief. 10. The power of small steps. Rebuilding self-worth is not about one giant breakthrough. It's about small, consistent steps. Each act of self-compassion. Each boundary honored. Each compliment received. Each old belief challenged. These are bricks. And together, they rebuild the foundation. So let's bring it all together. Self-worth is not something you earn. It is not something you achieve. It is not something others can give you or take away. Self-worth is your birthright. It has been with you since the moment you arrived in this world. But along the way, voices, experiences, and cultural messages can cover it up. They tell you, you are only valuable if you succeed. You are only lovable if you are perfect. You are only enough if others approve. These are lies. Learned lies. And today, we've seen how to begin unlearning them. We explored what self-worth really means, the unconditional belief that you are valuable simply because you are human. Where low self-worth comes from: childhood conditioning, cultural pressure, comparison, trauma, and internalized voices. The hidden costs of low self-worth: toxic patterns, self-sabotage, overthinking, lost opportunities, exhaustion. And most importantly, How to rebuild it through awareness, self-compassion, separating worth from achievement, setting boundaries, receiving love, and remembering your humanity. Here's the truth: your worth is not fragile. It is not conditional. It is not dependent on your grades, your income, your relationship status, or your follower count. Your worth is stable, constant, whole. But remembering it takes practice. It takes daily, gentle reminders to yourself: I am enough. I am worthy of care and love. My mistakes don't erase my value. So I want to leave you with a challenge. Today, write down one thing you value about yourself that has nothing to do with achievement. Maybe it's your kindness, your curiosity, your ability to make someone smile. Hold on to it. Remind yourself of it. Because each time you affirm your worth, you clear a little more dust from the mirror. And slowly, you see yourself clearly again. Remember this: you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not less. You are worthy. Already. Right here. Right now. If this spoke to you, share one word in the comments: worthy. Let's fill this space with reminders that every one of us has value. And in the next video, we'll talk about the cycle of comparison, how to break free from always measuring yourself against others. Because often, our sense of worth gets tangled up in comparison, and learning to untangle it is the next step in reclaiming your life.